What does a machete, a nail salon, and feces in the back of a cop car have in common? What does an alligator and a drive-thru have in common? What does a DUI inside of Wal-Mart and a scooter have in common? If you don't know the answer is Florida. That's what they all have in common. The great state of Florida, the Sunshine State. The only place in the world where alligators and crocodiles coexist, and most people would give you the shirt off their back. But Florida has a crazy side, a side full of some of the most bizarre incidents, also some of the dumbest. Today we're going to explore some of these stories brought to you straight from the Gunshine State. And welcome to Dredge Reality, where we talk about crazy facts, mysteries, and scary stories we've dredged from reality. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notification, and the like button so you don't miss any content we've dredged up for you. This is episode 1 of Dredged State, where we dredge up a new state each episode and dig into some of the craziest news we can find. Now hold on to your oranges and let's get to digging. On October 11th, 2015, a man headed to the Wendy's in Loxahatchee, Florida. He pulled into the drive-thru in his pickup truck around 1:20 a.m. He orders a drink and pulls forward to the window. When he pulls up to the window, he is greeted by an employee. The employee then hands the man his drink he ordered. The man then reaches into the back of his truck to grab something. He then proceeds to pull out a 30-pound alligator and throws it through the window. Yeah, that's right. He throws a effing alligator through the window at an employee. As soon as he does this, he speeds away, leaving the alligator behind for the employees to deal with. The workers, understandably terrified, call the police immediately. The police arrive, and they called the help of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, aka FWC. The alligator was safely captured by the FWC and released back into the wild, but not before this photo was snapped of the alligator in the Wendy's kitchen. But at this point, police had a job to do, so they launched a full investigation into who this was. Police started pulling video surveillance of Wendy's and nearby businesses. For some reason unknown, police weren't able to use Wendy's surveillance footage, but they did find some good footage of the suspect making a purchase at a nearby convenience store. They look at the footage and get the description of the man and his license plate. It turned out to be a man named Joshua James, a 24-year-old man from the area. He was arrested 4 months later on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon because authorities considered the alligator a deadly weapon since it could have harmed employees. He was also charged with unlawful possession and transportation of an alligator. It is illegal to capture, transport, or possess an alligator in Florida without a permit. And last, he was charged with petty theft, which I can't find a reason why on that one, but I think it may have been because he didn't pay for the drink. Joshua James was arrested on February 9th, 2016 after an investigation by FWC and the local law enforcement. He was released later that day on a $6,000 bond. There were conditions to his bond, though. He was ordered to stay away from Wendy's, to avoid any contact with animals other than his mother's dog, to take a mental health evaluation, and to refrain from possessing any weapons. Joshua admitted to the FWC that he threw the alligator. He said he found it on the side of the road and put it in his truck. He said it was just a prank and he wasn't trying to hurt anyone. Joshua's mother, Linda James, told News WPTV that it was a stupid prank, going on to say he does stuff like this because he thinks it's funny. She said he meant no harm and he had no problem turning himself in. When Joshua showed up to court, he entered a guilty plea and was very apologetic with deep regrets on what he did. The judge said good people do bad things or stupid things sometimes. The sentencing was guilty on both counts, misdemeanor assault and unlawful possession of an alligator. The petty theft was dropped. Joshua received 12 months probation and 75 hours of community service. He was ordered to pay a fine and court cost of $1,200. The judge also ordered no contact with any Wendy's restaurants and no possession of any animals aside from the family dog. So what do you think Joshua ordered to drink? A Gatorade? In March of 2019, a woman walks into a salon in Bonita Springs, Florida to get her nails done. Everything seemed to be going fine, and out of nowhere, the woman became frustrated for undisclosed reasons. Around 5:30 p.m., the woman started acting unhinged according to employees, yelling and throwing a fit, eventually gathering all of her things and heading outside, yelling as she did. She heads towards her car with her things and returns a few minutes later in front of the store. She started throwing herself angrily into the glass storefront while yelling at the salon workers and patrons. After a few moments of this, the woman returns to her car. Just as everyone thinks it's possibly over, she is seen coming towards the building with a machete, swinging it in the air and yelling threats. Seeing the woman coming from a distance, the owner of the salon locks the door to protect the employees and the patrons, possibly saving lives with the quick thinking. The police were called immediately. 911. The woman then changes direction and starts focusing on the owner of the salon's car. She walks towards the car, which had 2 dogs locked inside apparently. I have no idea why, but that's what the article says. She then changes direction again and focuses on another car, charging towards it with the clear intention of hitting it with a machete. This had to be a pretty scary situation for everyone around. Police arrive a short time later and confront the woman. They eventually got the woman to calm down and arrested her. The police then put her in the back of a cop car and headed back to the salon to interview victims. Reports say while police were interviewing the victims, the woman defecated in the back of the cop car. There isn't a clear reason as to why. Some say she just couldn't hold it, and others say she was getting back at the police. We may never know. NBC2 News says the victims in the salon at the time said they feared for their lives and believed the suspect was going to carry out the threats of violence with a machete. The woman ended up being a woman named Tracy Denise George Sirleaf, and she was charged with 2 counts of assault on a person 65 years of age or older. I'm having a hard time finding her conviction online, so I'm not sure what ended up happening to her. I bet police officers were shocked when someone did their duty while they were on duty. On July 1st, 2019, at the Lando Lakes Detention Center in Pasco County, Florida, an unidentified person called the police to report a suspicious person in the parking lot of the detention center. They claimed to have seen a man walking around the parking lot pulling on vehicle door handles to see if the vehicles were unlocked. The police responded to the lot very quickly considering they were nearby. Police arrived to the lot at approximately 10:30 p.m. They ended up finding a man named Dennis Libinati, a 68-year-old from Homosassa, Florida. He was in a restricted area that was for officials only. They detained him and started checking video surveillance footage. They find Dennis attempting to open 26 vehicles, 2 of them including sheriff's office vehicles. This is the most genius plan I've ever heard. During questioning, he admitted to attempting to steal the vehicles and to hotwiring the ATV in the back of a Dodge pickup truck. He had pulled back the cover on the bed of the truck, and that's when he hotwired the ATV. He luckily didn't gain entry to any vehicle but the Dodge truck and hotwiring the ATV. He said he did this as a means to head home. See, the kicker is Dennis had to head home from the jail parking lot because he had just gotten out of jail. That's right, the man just got released from jail and instantly went into the parking lot to steal a vehicle. Like I was saying before, what could go wrong? Absolutely genius plan. Dennis just got released from jail because of a misdemeanor battery charge. He had been held there since March of 2019. He received 265 days of probation and anger management classes. Upon his release is when the attempted car theft happened. Dennis ended up being arrested again and booked on 28 charges, including 26 counts of attempted auto theft for each car he tried to get into. He also received 1 count of grand theft and 1 count of auto burglary. He also faces a probation violation because of the sentence he had received earlier that day and the agreements to that probation. He received the auto burglary for getting inside the pickup truck and the grand theft for hotwiring the ATV. Man, I swear, this guy couldn't pour water out of a boot if the instructions were on the heel. On Saturday, June 15th, 2024, at approximately 7 p.m., a man was walking along the streets of Martin County, Florida. As he was walking around, he sees a Wells Fargo bank and walks up to it. He then proceeds to check the door, and for some reason the door was left unlocked, which seems extremely odd for a bank. The man then has the most brilliant idea ever, an idea I wish I would have thought of. He then scurries across the road to a convenience store. While he's in the convenience store, he buys a mask, walks outside, puts the mask on, and heads back across the road to the bank. The man then enters the Wells Fargo bank with the mask on he had just bought across the road. Because no one would possibly know who you are if you're wearing a mask, right? Man, these criminals in Florida are genius. Once inside the building, he rummaged through drawers and cabinets but didn't find anything of value. The man then left the bank, but he did trigger a silent alarm as he had walked in. It's not exactly clear why there was a delay in the alarm company's system, but the police weren't notified until around an hour after the man had left. This is one reason that caused him to be long gone by the time the police arrived. The police started reviewing video footage from the bank, and that led them to reviewing the footage from the convenience store across the road. This is where they found the man buying the mask, putting it on, and walking back towards the bank. The man ended up being a man named Colton Van Honenstein, a 33-year-old from the area. He was later found and arrested. Look at that. He is even wearing the same sunglasses on the bank surveillance footage as his arrest picture. The police were investigating why the door was left unlocked, but I can't find an update. I'm assuming it was an employee that is possibly no longer with them. Colton is being charged with unarmed burglary of an unoccupied structure. He hasn't seemed to have went to trial yet because I can't find an update. I bet he wasn't banking on getting caught with that genius plan. On March 1st, 2024, in Escambia County, Florida, a woman walks into the Florida lottery offices. She is ecstatic as she was there to cash in on her big prize. The ticket was a $50 ticket named 500X The Cash Scratcher. This was a life-changing event for her and her boyfriend, but maybe not in the way you think. She was there to cash in on their mega winnings of $1 million. The woman was planning on opening a salon with part of the winnings, but there was a big problem. When the Florida Lottery scanned the ticket, it was not a winner. Also, the ticket just looked off. They told her they would investigate why the ticket wasn't showing up as a winner, and they would get back in contact with her after an investigation. So she left and waited to hear from them. 10 days later, on March 11th, 2024, the woman called the lottery offices to ask for an update. They told her she needed to come down to the lottery office and speak to a special agent. Sounds totally legit. What could go wrong? The woman made her way to the lottery office, this time bringing her boyfriend. When she arrived to the office, special agents, aka detectives, separated the couple and took them to separate rooms for questioning. The couple ended up being 36-year-old Kira Enders and 32-year-old Dakota Jones. According to detectives, the ticket was crudely pieced together with tape, combining two separate scratch-off tickets torn horizontally and laminated to conceal alterations. So the ticket was fraudulent and very poorly at that. That's the reason for the questioning. This lady taped two different lottery tickets together and seriously walked her ass down to the lottery office and attempted to claim a $1 million prize. Kira and Dakota both gave separate accounts on what had happened. Kira said she didn't remember where she had bought the ticket at first, eventually claiming she bought it at a Winn-Dixie. She said it fell in the rain, and when she tried to scratch it, it ripped in half, so she decided to tape it back together. Very believable story. Dakota said he legitimately thought they had won $1 million when they put the ticket pieces together. Bullshit. Kira was acting surprised and saying, "What? They don't go together?" and adding it is insane and it blows her mind. Dakota claims he told Kira not to tape the pieces together and submit it to the Florida Lottery because it, quote, looked jank. He also told investigators they were honest people and they weren't into fraud. Well, if the ticket was a legitimate ticket, you wouldn't have anything to worry about. Investigators still don't know how the ticket pieces came into their possession. Kira kept claiming she thought taping the ticket together was saving it, not altering it. The detectives determined that the way the lottery ticket was taped together usually indicates an attempt to commit fraud. Both Kira and Dakota were taken into custody and given a $20,000 and a $17,500 bond. They are still currently awaiting trial, and I'll give you an update if I find something out. I know opening a salon was one of the ladies' dreams, but I don't think fraud was what they meant by chase your dreams. I would never gamble with my life like that. One quick last story just to put the icing on the cake for Florida. This wouldn't be Florida unless you had someone getting a DUI on a motorized scooter in Wal-Mart, right? Yeah, that's right. On July 24th, 2022, a little before 9 a.m. in Melbourne, Florida, a man enters a Walmart and gets on a motorized scooter. The man then starts driving the scooter erratically, zooming around, swerving into aisles, and crashing into shelves, almost running into several people. He was riding around the store for over an hour. After crashing into a shelf, the man was acting very disoriented, so the store managers finally ended up calling authorities and emergency personnel a little before 10 a.m. Why it took them so long, I really don't know. When emergency personnel arrived a little before 10 a.m., before the police, they made their way to aisle 13 on the grocery side of Walmart, where they found a man in a drunken state. They started checking on the man, and he was not very cooperative. At some point, emergency personnel noticed an open bottle of vodka under the man's bag that was in the basket on the scooter. One of the paramedics ends up trying to take the bottle of vodka away. The man resists. He tries to pull it away, and it ends up spilling on him. Not very long after emergency personnel arrives, the police finally arrive. When the police arrive, the emergency crew tells the officer that the man is refusing to talk, but his vitals are fine. The man is obviously in a very drunken state at this point. Really sad to see someone like this, especially super early in the morning. You know you have issues if you were getting a DUI on a scooter in Walmart right before 10 a.m. The police then ask the man for his ID, but he is so drunk it seems like he's not even fully comprehending the request. He keeps reaching towards his pocket like he's going to grab it and stopping before he does, and then the request starts over. The man keeps acting like he is going to throw up, so the officer tells him not to puke on her and turn his head. The officer eventually ends up pulling the wallet out of the man's front pocket. The man ends up being 39-year-old Aaron Gregory from the local area. The officer finally gets him to answer a question. She asks him if the charger that's in the basket of the scooter is his, and he says yes ma'am in a drunken slur. The charger ends up not being his because he just opened it in the store. They weren't able to get the man to stand up and walk because of his drunken state, so they got the paramedics to take him out on a stretcher. Once outside, the officers attempt to get him to take a breathalyzer, but the man refuses. They end up arresting him and charging him with a DUI for driving the motorized scooter in Walmart. It's considered a motor vehicle since it can approach speeds of 10 miles an hour from what reports say. That's right, this man got arrested for a DUI for driving a motorized scooter around Walmart. Honestly, this has to be one of the lowest points of this man's life. I truly hope he gets the help he needs. He was booked into the Brevard County Jail on charges of DUI, refusal with prior citation, disorderly intoxication, and possession of an open container. In September of 2022, Aaron pled no contest to the charges of disorderly intoxication and possession of an open container of alcohol and was sentenced to 60 days in jail. He was also banned from returning to Walmart for 6 months. The DUI charge ended up getting dropped, but it's just insane he was arrested for a DUI in Walmart. I didn't know that was possible. I mean, honestly, I can't blame the guy. I'm not gonna lie, I have a pretty hard time not going into Walmart drunk myself. So there are some of the crazy semi-recent Florida stories I could find. While Florida is a beautiful state, it definitely has its crazy side. But honestly, what state doesn't? Did any of you realize you could get a DUI on a scooter in Walmart? Do you have any crazy news you would like to share? Also, what state should I do next? Comment below and let me know. If I end up using one of the stories you requested, I will give you a shout out in the video. Thanks so much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any reality we've dredged up for you. I'll see you next time with some more crazy facts, mysteries, and scary stories dredged from reality.